What's good? What's good? What's good, Raider Nation? Thank you guys for pulling in on Tuesday. We're doing our typical live show preview of the Denver Broncos. And man, we've got a great show lined up for you, me and my co-host, Pharaoh NFL. Before we do that, let's just address people in the chat, man, and let the chat develop for a second here. We got Van City that says, "What is good, Ray? I patiently wait every week for this show." And man, it's your guys' support. It's what keeps feeding this show. And look, everybody that's pulling up right now, smash this video with the like button. It just shoots this video up the algorithm, and it allows more Raider fans to find the show tonight. And it's a better show for you guys. It's a better experience for all of us. And we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of real conversation that needs to take place tonight. Everything from Mark Davis to Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, Derek Carr, the locker room, just where the state of this organization is at all together, man. We've got a great lineup. And then we're going to be taking a look at the Denver Broncos. We've used the last few weeks to kind of vent and how we feel about this, but we kind of want to get back to the bag a little bit and talk about this matchup with the Denver Broncos. So you guys, I appreciate you guys for pulling up. Let everybody know where you're at tonight. Ruben Ortega says Raider Ray is about to speak the truth, and somebody's got to come on here and do it, man. We've got to like reveal everything that's going on behind the scenes that we know about, and let you guys know about it, man, and just have those dialogues about it. So without further ado, man, I'm going to welcome on my co-host, Pharaoh NFL. Pharaoh, what's going on, my guy?
I'm good, man, other than the Raiders losing. That's it's the only thing that I'm really not excited about. But at the end of the day, man, I love doing this, so I love talking to Raider Nation. Hey, man, let's talk football, man.
Yeah, so talking about the Indianapolis Colts, let's just jump straight into it, man. Talking about the Indianapolis Colts, coming off last week, we alluded to that Jeff Saturday was going to have the Indianapolis Colts rally. He was really going to trust into those play callers, really lean on a Gus Bradley, who was a former head coach and former Raider defensive coordinator as well, who knows this roster. We knew that he was going to rely heavily on this coaching staff, and look, everything kind of came to fruition. They did a good job of doing RPOs, running the football, and just keeping things simple. You know, they weren't trying to be cute or flashy. They just played simple formula football, and they went out there and executed.
Yeah, facts. And what did I tell you, man? The quarterback Matt Ryan was going to start. I already knew he was going to come in. I didn't know he was going to start, but I thought he was going to come in at some point because I think Jeff Saturday, being a new head coach, he's going to come in there. He's going to want to get his guys that he believes in there. And obviously Matt Ryan is a veteran QB. He's done some good things in the league, but obviously he lost favor with the previous regime. But Jeff Saturday's a new guy. He's a new guy in town, new sheriff in town. So he came in, and it seemed like that was their plan all along, to make it seem like, the backup, the quarterback that was starting, that was previously starting, was going to be the guy, and that's who the Raiders were game planning for. But obviously, they kind of like, and that's kind of old school tricks. A lot of teams do that when there's kind of like a quarterback situation where it can go either way. They always make it seem like one guy's going to start because they want the team that they're playing against to game plan against that quarterback. But then obviously, Matt Ryan came in the game, and I don't think it really mattered with the way the Raiders defense is playing lately. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they had some opportunities. They did some good things here and there. They forced some turnovers, but it wasn't enough.
I want to see a lot of these young guys get an opportunity. I really liked what I seen out of Sam Webb. I think Sam Webb went out there and really competed his tail off. I mean, PBUs, playing aggressive. Like, I really like what I see out of Sam Webb. Let's continue to develop him and get players like that involved. Get Malcolm Kuntz involved. Get Luke Masterson in there. Darian Butler. Darian Butler missed that opportunity on a fumble recovery. But you got to get these guys some reps, man. So moving forward, we know that the season is essentially a loss. So get some of these young guys to get some significant reps moving forward into the next season. So I'm really excited to kind of see that. I hate that we have to talk about the roster in that sense and where we're at right now, being at midseason, talking about just starting all the young guys. But that's kind of like where we're at, man. Van City says Mark Davis needs to sell the team. It's gross. Hey, new leadership. I mean, me and Pharaoh were kind of talking about it off camera, and it's like, at what point are we? Is this leadership just? We need a new owner of this franchise.
I mean, I was, I don't want to say I was rooting for Mark Davis, but I was like, you know what? Mark Davis is a guy that just wants guys that know football to just run his team. But, being an owner, I think, is more than that too. You got to be competent. You got to know when to cut ties. You got to know when to fire people. You got to know when to support, come out and say certain things. And Mark Davis, man, he had some recent comments again. You know what I mean? Obviously, we've heard him say that he supports McDaniels. He's going to be here for years to come. And now recently I dropped a video with Stephen A. Smith going crazy on him because he told ESPN that, he was just pretty much trying to explain why why Josh McDaniels is safe. He was in a lot of competitive games, one-score games. One of the key things that I remember him saying was at the end of that quote was Rome wasn't built in one day. And I'm just like, you have to cringe when you hear that, because at the end of the day, like, we at Raider fans, like, we experienced a playoff team last year. You hear Mark Davis, when we bringing in Josh McDaniels in his intro press conference, say that this is not a reload, this is not a rebuild, it's not a retool. You know what I mean? You hear all these things making it seem like, and I believe Mark Davis when he said that, especially because we went after a Devontae Adams, we went after all these players, these big names, and we had a great offseason, all the hype, but it didn't work out. But I just don't like what he's saying at this time. Like, how can you say that when we're 2-7? How can you say that when clearly Josh McDaniels has lost the locker room? I don't care about the players can talk about execution. Look, today we heard the coordinators talk about one of the reasons why there hasn't been success on the field is because of lack of fundamentals. You know how crazy that is to say, because at the end of the day, whose fault is that? That's the coaching. The coaches are responsible in teaching and in implementing the fundamentals. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
you alluded to a good point, and I really want to address this because you said that Rome wasn't built in a day, but I want to let everybody know that it sure did burn in one. Rome burnt in a day. The moment that Josh McDaniels took over this franchise, you know what I mean, and came out and openly lied to the fan base, lied to the people that were supporting this team, lied to the guys in the locker room saying that this is going to be a win now type of season, and you go out and you play, you get aggressive in free agency. And don't get me wrong, they put the chips in the center of the table. But just like in Vegas, man, when you bet big, you have the opportunity to lose big. And that's exactly what happened to Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler in this offseason. And Mark Davis fully is aware of that. Like, he is in on this. Make no mistake about it. Mark Davis has had these discussions with Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels behind the scenes, and they've known this process. Josh McDaniels is way too calm to be 2-7. He just feels so comfortable right now.
Too comfortable.
And that's what I don't appreciate. I feel no sense of urgency from Josh McDaniels. He just feels like a guy who knows that he's not going anywhere anytime soon, that he's in control. He has the helm of this organization. And that's a scary place to be, because regardless if you are planning to do a rebuild, I mean, if you're going to get one thing right, because, Mark Davis came out and has that quote, he's doing an unbelievable job. Everything that that Josh McDaniels is doing is unbelievable. He's doing great. The only thing that Josh McDaniels is doing good is losing football games. And if you're going to get one win out of this season, lose every game and grab that top draft pick. That's where I'm at. Don't fumble that bag. Don't go out here and dominate 3 or 4 teams that you have no business even beating, and don't lose that opportunity to go and grab the draft pick. If you go out here and win a few meaningless football games, because let's be real, they're starting to get to the point where they're meaningless. And now the biggest bonus that you could get is landing a top pick in the draft. So if Josh McDaniels goes out here and fails that, my goodness, he's got to get out of here.
Man, Josh McDaniels must be one of the greatest salesmen. Oh. And I'm going to include Dave Z in there because they're both kind of backing each other up, because I don't know how Mark Davis can even come out with that quote. Like, I don't know. I understand he can come out and publicly support Josh McDaniels because
it's part of his plan. That's what it is. That's the only way.
Yeah, you can say Mark Davis is too calm as well.
Yeah,
because he's been assured that this is part of the plan. We told you this was going to happen. You know what I mean? And he probably and I talked about this before too. You have to think that, like, when Mark Davis and Dave Z were getting interviewed, Josh McDaniels and Dave Z were getting interviewed by Mark Davis. They probably laid it all out. They laid out the plan. They said it can go here, it can go here. We'll try and make the moves, but if it don't work out, this is what's going to happen. And I think that's giving Mark Davis, I don't know, some type of comfort to come out with these public statements of support and all this type of stuff. Like, but I don't want to hear it. I'd rather you not say nothing. Even if you like support McJosh, you might as well just not say nothing. Because when you say this, then this tells me that, hey man, like, I don't know if you're the guy. I don't even think you should be owning the Raiders.
I'm curious at what point this all happened, right? Like, was there a course? Was there something going along in training camp? Was it early on in the season? Maybe when, you know what I mean? You're sitting at 0-3, and are you sitting at 0-3, and Josh McDaniels and Dave Z behind the scenes are just kind of like, hey, yo, like, which direction are we going to go? Maybe Josh McDaniels has now been working with Derek Carr and realizes, hey, look, I don't know if Derek Carr is my guy. Like, I like him. I like the guy. I think he works well. I think he puts the organization first, but I don't know if I'm moving forward with him or not. And like, I would just be curious to know, like, at what point did all this stuff just start to turn left and make the decision, or was this the plan the entire time? You know, I would just be curious to know. I don't know that you go and make the kind of moves that they made if it was going to be a rebuild. So look, everybody in the building, if you guys can, smash that like button. It lets other Raider fans know where you're at tonight. Share it to your social media. Show some love, show some support to your Raider content creators, and let's make your experience just as good. Let people know where you're at, man. So Auntie Six says, what's up, guys? What's good, Auntie Six? I hope you're doing good, my friend.
Salute, Auntie Six, man. Appreciate you coming through, man.
Robert says they just came out and said it's a rebuild. I mean, we've been able to see the past few weeks that this is going to be a product of a rebuild. Van said, he says, Mark is loving and embracing the tank. We deserve so much better. We do. You're fact. We didn't deserve to be lied to. That's my biggest concern.
How do you trade for Devontae Adams? How do you trade? It must have been 100% a business move. They're trying to get people to come to the games. Nothing to do with winning at all. Because like, if you're saying that if this was part of the plan and you thought it was going to be a rebuild, then like, how do you give up?
I was thinking about this today. What do you think Tom is done after this year? Or do you think that now that he's got a divorce, he plays one more season?
It's a possibility.
If he plays one more season, I guarantee you he's going to be a Raider.
It's a possibility. I mean, you have, you know, Dana White, you know, the owner of UFC, say that, you know, Tom Brady was this close to coming to Las Vegas until it fell through.
Now he's got his guy. You know, it'd essentially be Tom Brady's offense. Then you're really what does Tom Brady show? You invest heavily into a defense. He's walking into a situation with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren. Like, I don't know, bro. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, look, if DC's out of here and Tom Brady plays another year, as much as I hate to say it, I could honestly see Tom Brady in the silver and black.
I don't want it, though.
I don't want it at all.
I don't want it.
It would just feel so wrong. I don't want it.
I don't want it, man, because I don't want to see an old Tom Brady, man. Like, we know Father Time is here. It's knocking on Tom Brady's door, and Tom Brady so far this year hasn't looked good. You know what I mean? He hasn't looked good. Whether it might, you know, you can probably blame the offensive system, whatever you want to blame, but he just is not as good as, and that's how it happens. It comes out of nowhere. You know, a quarterback complete playing great one year in his late 30s, 40s, but Tom is in uncharted territories. He's 45? How old is he? Yeah, 80 years old. He's 80 years old. I think Tom Brady's 80 years old at this point. He's been around for a long time, and that's how it happens. One year you're playing well, and then the next year it just, you know, you can't recover as fast. You're you know, I don't know if injuries haven't caught up to Tom Brady. I know he takes real good of himself, but at the end of the day, like, I don't want it to be with the silver and black. I don't want him to come to the Raiders and be terrible. I'm not saying Tom Brady is not a good quarterback. What I'm saying is that, like, I just don't want to be that team that signs Tom Brady and then he's terrible. And then we're like, I'd rather us just go after a quarterback in the draft or bring back Derek Carr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I don't think that's going to happen, because it looks like he's probably going to be a scapegoat, because if Josh McDaniels is calm, if Dave Z is calm, and Mark Davis is calm, and Derek Carr
got Derek Carr broke on a podium.
Yeah, crying in the press conference, because he knows. He knows.
If anybody knows, he knows. He's been around this organization long enough. He knows what's going on.
Yep.
He's like, bro, I've seen this how many times now? I know what you guys are doing. If anybody knows what's going on, it's Derek Carr. And you could tell on the podium. You could tell in his body language. You could tell by how this locker room is reacting. The fact that Max Crosby comes out and says, Raider Nation, you guys deserve so much better. Like, bro, like, they know there's an internal feeling going on. When you see the Raiders offense on the sideline, nobody's communicating with each other. You've had 3 and outs and nobody's up. Derek Carr's on the opposite end of his wide receiver sitting there by himself. Bro, it's this whole situation is ridiculous. We the People says, what's up? What's going on, We the People? D Menace, salute Ray, salute Pharaoh. All eyes on G. Salute Ray. Pharaoh in the chat. Shout out to you, my friend. Digital Prez is in the building. Everybody go over to Digital Prez. Subscribe to him. He's out there doing his thing, man. Auntie Six says, how do you think our rookie linebacker played last game? I thought Luke Masterson did all right. I thought Darian Butler was a little bit underwhelming. He had an opportunity to come up with a big play late in the game, and another one of those turning points.
What was he doing?
Not
like he was trying to look back to hear, oh, do I still keep playing? Like, come on, like just
jump on the ball.
Game, it would have been game over.
And Luis Lopez says, why get Devontae Chandler and sign extensions if you're not going to win? And like I said, I think that they put the chips on the table and they rolled for a big gamble, and I don't think it paid off. So now you're kind of looking at yourself like, all right, well, what do we do from here? And I think if you rolled the dice like that and you missed and you swung and missed that hard, then you're staring at in the face of a rebuild, unfortunately.
Man, that R word, man, I hate that R word, man. But you know what I think is interesting? I don't know if you've seen it, but Steve Weiss had like a little moment where he was talking about the Raiders situation. And he was kind of alluding that it had nothing to do with the players' relationship with the coaching staff. It had more to do with their relationship with each other. There's a lot of players that are pointing the fingers at each other, and they're not getting along in that locker room. And that's what's causing the issues on the field. They're pretty much not a team.
You know what? The best situation would be that Josh McDaniels is tanking, and you get the players out of the locker room that aren't fully bought in. And next year, hopefully he just coaches his tail off, bro. And hopefully he just pulls everything out of the bag and really starts to compete. Look, let's spin this in a positive way. I think it's ideal. I think that it's pretty obvious that the Raiders are finding ways to lose games. All right. I think the plan is out there to land a top pick in the draft, to move in a new direction. The fact of the matter is even with finding ways to lose, Mark Davis said it in a statement, is that you're losing these games by 1 score or less. And majority of the time, you've got the ball with possession to go and win a football game. Now, if we are going to use the R word, the rebuild word, going into a situation where you're losing these games when you have a really bad defense, offense is struggling, they're sputtering out, and you're still only losing these games outside of the New Orleans game by 1 score or less, you've got to have a good feeling about the direction moving forward. Not leadership, but the fact that they are able to be in close football games. So let me elaborate that.
Thanks for being positive, Ray. I appreciate that.
We got to find something. I feel like the last 3 weeks I've been just trashing this football team.
I appreciate that. But, since you're going to be the positive one, I guess I'm going to be the guy that talks about, all right, well, we've been in 1-score games, but we were in a 1-score game against a team that had a first-year head coach, never coached in any – well, actually, I'll take that back. He was coaching high school football before he coached the Colts.
An offensive coordinator that's never called a football play.
And it's not like when we're playing the Colts, they were a good football team. Like, they looked like a bad football team. They didn't look like
a bad team.
Exactly. So, and that's a team that we lost to at home against, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's tough to watch, but yeah, I like that. I like that perspective in that, like, maybe if it's an issue where it's literally all of the players, it's a player issue where players are not getting along in a locker room. But even that, like, why are they not getting along in a locker room? Where is the head coach in this?
Well, let me say this. If it's not Josh McDaniels that lost the locker room, and if it truly is, there's just a few players that don't mesh, I would rather have that situation if I'm being
facts, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Because Josh McDaniels is coming back. That's because Josh McDaniels is coming back, so we have to deal with that situation. So, yeah, I hope I hope it's not McDaniels. I hope McDaniels turns out to be a great head coach for the Raiders. He's just going through growing pains, dealing with a locker room that was fully invested in, the John Gruden era. You know what I mean? Whether that's Bisaccia and that coaching staff, and it was just a mesh of them with this coaching staff, and it just didn't work. The players on this team, it just didn't mesh.
And
Hopefully,
look,
yeah, go ahead.
maybe he's not a terrible coach. Maybe we're coming out of this tunnel of us being like, hey, yo, like, what's going on? And we're coming out of this tunnel like, oh, okay, like your plan was to tank, to lose out, and maybe you're gonna go grab your own guy in the first round, and maybe I think next year is really gonna be that measuring gauge. And I hate to say it, but that's gonna be the reality of the situation. Is that next year is going to be that gauge of measurement of like, okay, Josh McDaniels has gone out, he's got a guy. Especially if he goes and gets like a bridge guy like a Jimmy G or Tom Brady, whatever the case, a second year with Derek Carr in the system, and you go get a young guy and you're still like if they're at this point next season, like, bro, there's huge issues and you're definitely going to move on from them. But hey, dude, maybe we're just coming out of a tunnel and just finally realizing, hey, this dude's got a plan to lose a bunch of football games this year.
And like I said, I just recently listened to that report by Steve Weiss about how it's more of a player issue, more of a locker room issue where the players are kind of pointing the fingers at each other. And we kind of can see it, we kind of can see it like after the game where they're kind of saying it's execution. They're not really pointing the fingers at the coaching staff. But at the same time, like, I still think that's still, you kind of can trace it back to the coaching staff. Like even the management too. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting together a team, and you got to be able to put together a team that's going to work and gel with each other. The coaches, like, there's a reason why, like, John Gruden, and it's crazy to say this, but damn, like, now you can see a little bit of the value of John Gruden and how he kind of put together his team, a team that plays for each other, a team that like had great chemistry on the field and off the field. And, even though I'm not here to defend John Gruden and like all his weaknesses as a head coach and play calling, and yeah, I get that, but that Raider team last year was a lot tougher than this year.
Oh,
that Raider team last year played for each other. They played hard, and there's a reason why they went on a run and went to the playoffs. Is because they were a team. This year,
he was so scrutinized. Do you remember that when he took over and it was like, can John Gruden mesh with the new era of the NFL with these young players and social media? And dude, these players love to play for him. And now you get the reports coming out in Las Vegas that these dudes get graded on their social media posts, bro. That is wild to me.
And that's the thing, man. Like, see stuff like that, I don't think that
I don't vibe well with everybody.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. It's not, man, like, I don't, oh man. I just don't believe in that. I just feel like you're just gonna develop a culture of resentment at the end of the day. Like, they're gonna be like, oh man, like, McDaniels is here. Like, you know what I mean? You're just gonna get one of those that feeling of like players just, because I'm just thinking in my mind, if someone were to grade my social media, to be micromanaging me, I'm going to resent that person. Anybody that's micromanaged, you're always going to resent that person that's micromanaging you. You know what I mean? So I just don't agree with that philosophy. And maybe that's the Patriot way, but only one guy has been.
And I think that's why you haven't seen a lot of players come out on social media expressing themselves. You know what I mean? Not that a grade is just like this end all be all thing. Like, if you were really that emotional, you'd probably put something out there just to put it out there. But dude, I really do think like this team is extremely micromanaged, and they're trying to keep a lot of stuff in house.
Keep it real. Keep it real. 100 says Gruden would get blown out in these close games. I don't know, because last year Gruden coached some close games and won.
Yeah.
He had Derek Carr playing well in close games.
In close games, I trust John Gruden scheming up big plays more than I did Josh McDaniels. That's a fact. I think what he was able to do with Zay Jones and a lot lesser talent, letting Hunter Renfrow have a lot of freedom and creativity with his route running. I trusted John Gruden when it came to one possession games on the line. Derek Carr's got the ball in his hand. They just played differently. They played effective. They knew where everybody was going to be. They were on the same page. That's not the case with the Raiders right now.
Yeah, and do you think, and that's another thing too. Like, my point is that this year's team is a reflection of the head coach, just like last year's team was the reflection of head coach. And last year's team was a lot tougher. This year, it seems like a lot softer. They're not playing for each other. They're not playing hard. You could just tell in the game, like they're like literally, Devontae Adams is over here playing his heart out, and then all the other players are kind of like just coasting. Like it doesn't seem like everybody was into the game, But that's just my opinion on it.
Luis Lopez says, I want to know why people think DC is making so much money. We all know he signed a team-friendly deal. Today's price is not today's future. Keep in mind that after the Amazon deal, cap space is going to go up too. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad contract at all. I think even with what you're getting right now, I mean, I always preach all the time on this channel that just because where the market value is doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the return on investment. Meaning, if the floor for a corner, a starting caliber corner is $10 million, and you go out there and sign an average DB, that's just where the market price is. It's inflated prices in the National Football League, and you're going to pay more money for a lot of times average to subpar talent. And then those upper echelon elite caliber players are going to get the stupid amounts of money. So yeah, I don't think that he's making a ton of money by any means. I think it's one of the better deals in sports, if I'm being honest with you. Van City says, till death, Tom Brady will always be Tom Brady. That man has broke more knuckles on my fist and lost me more money than any other professional athlete there is. Never count the GOAT out. Robert says, if Tom Brady comes over, great. I just want to win. I want to win. I just don't know if I want to win that bad. I don't know if I want to see that man.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird to have Tom Brady with the Raiders, but then at the same time, like I just have a feeling like it's just gonna get worse from here on out in Tom Brady's career. Like I just don't think that he's gonna like it. Just we've never seen a quarterback. How is he like the oldest quarterback?
He's Vinny, right?
Vinny Testaverde was really old. I don't know if you guys remember Vinny Testaverde back in the day, New York Jets quarterback. I know he was really old. He was up there in age. He was around for a long time in the NFL.
Was he 45?
Let me see. I'm gonna look
this up there. And there's 23 of you guys in the building. If you guys can, man, we should have 23 likes. We just offer a free show here, and we just ask that you smash that like button to get more Raider fans into the building. That way, it makes your experience and our experience even that much more better. Daniel Kim.
Oh, I got you. I got you one.
What?
This is the oldest QB to ever play in the NFL. Guess.
49.
The chat, y'all can guess too. You said 49?
Yeah.
Ooh, goddamn.
Was it good?
Close. No, actually, you want to give you the answer?
Yeah.
48, George Blanda.
Ooh.
1976. He was a former Chicago Bear quarterback. He played for the Raiders too, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Played for the Raiders.
Of course 40, he did.
48. 48, 1976.
You're 48 years old. At some point, you played for the Raiders.
Real, especially the Raiders had that reputation of getting like players from other teams and like having a resurgent. Because even Jim Plunkett was like what, former number 1 pick for the 49ers, played for the Patriots, then comes to the Raiders and has a Super Bowl winning career.
Luis Lopez says, I really think that we're trying to win and just not getting it done. Why get a Jerry Tillery? I understand you always got to improve a team, but if you're tanking, you're not making that move. And I think that you make that move. He's not some elite level defensive tackle. His career has not gone where the Chargers thought where it was going to go, because look, where they're sitting right now, they're not going to release a defensive tackle talent if they think it's going to be a detriment to their organization, regardless if they're having relationship issues or not. Jerry Tillery is a good guy to take a flyer on, though. I really like the fact that, look, if you're 2-7 and you're looking for help at the defensive tackle position, let him get significant reps for the rest of the year, and he's going to be a free agent by the end of the season. And if he plays good for you, you can get him for an affordable, team-friendly deal, and maybe you can get a jump start on creating depth at the defensive tackle position. So overall, I don't think that the Jerry Tillery move is bad by any means. I think you take a flyer on a former first-round pick, and then you keep it pushing.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like, man, Raiders are making moves, but it's just like, man, like I can't even take them serious. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, I'm not. It's not a dude. That's the thing about this move. You gotta keep emotions in check. Like this is not a season changing move by any means. This is you
Right,
taking a flyer on a former first round talent and hoping that you land something, and maybe you can keep him around.
right.
2 years, 2 teams will wait. 2 years, 2 teams will 2 coaches getting fired, and the DC Gus Bradley remain there, fellas. It's Gus Bradley, not Bisaccia or Saturday.
Hey, will we get copyright claim if we played the Raiders Autumn Wind?
Mm,
I feel
that's a
like a
good.
lot of people play that song, but I don't know if we could. That'd be a nice little, nice little touch.
I know. That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to address the elephant in the room, yes, I did get a new chair, by the way. Shout out to Raider Nation because we were talking about this chair. It's even got some Bluetooth connections to it. So I was like, oh man, we could
Hey
have the
man,
autumn wind playing in the background. But
Raider Ray over here upgrading.
finally, boy, my back is happy. My back is happy, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Gus Bradley, the real reason for the season, 2 years in a row. Man, I'm kind of behind on these chats, man. I gotta.
Guess Ray, the real reason for the season 2. Guess Ray, the real reason for the season 2 years in a row.
Mm,
Hey, if you got to rephrase that one, I'm not sure what you're talking
yeah,
about.
we should have kept Bradley or made him a head coach. I don't know.
I don't know if I want to see Bradley as a head coach, but maybe as a defensive coordinator, maybe you might have a point there.
A great head coach keeps the locker room together. Facts, bro.
Facts,
Facts.
100%. That was my point.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Remember
You know
this.
what I mean?
We need everything. Raiders need every position. Facts, bro. We really do. I mean,
Think about it. Look at Mike Tomlin, for example, one of the best head coaches in the NFL. You could say all time, whatever, however you want to look at it. He had on Antonio Brown in his locker room, and we didn't hear anything until we figured out who Antonio Brown was.
right, bro.
He left the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a sign of great coaching, great locker room, just great all the way around. He Mike Tomlin is one of the few great coaches. And
I
the thing
know.
is,
Why can't we get a Mike Tomlin, bro?
but there's
My
only a few.
God.
There's only a few good head coaches. Like, what would you say? Name your top 3 head coaches. There's probably more great head coaches, but just give me
Right
3
now?
right now.
Um,
There's probably like maybe a handful, but I'm just saying 3. Just
I
to
like
keep it simple.
okay. I would say Andy Reid,
Woo, yep.
Mike Tomlin.
Okay.
As far as dude, Mike can do less with more. I don't even think he's had a losing season with the Steelers,
And his quarterback situation is ugly.
and that's wild to me. So that's stupid impressive. Um, 3. I don't want to go the Belichick route because I just feel like that's so cliche. I think old boy over there in Buffalo is kind of doing his thing too. He's kind of got that organization back on track.
Okay.
Um, I would probably go that route right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at that list. I like Kyle Shanahan too.
I like his offense for sure.
I like Kyle Shanahan, like his coaching staff, like overall,
Yeah.
like look, Kyle Shanahan. As much as we don't want to talk about the Niners, and we don't like the Niners at all. He has a great football team over there, and they built a team. They got a coaching staff, and you got a guy from his coaching tree. Yes, from Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree, Mike McDaniel coaching his ass off out there in Miami. First year, by the way.
For all
So
those
yeah,
people that say we need to take time, there's other teams doing it with.
to a certain extent, you know what I mean? Every situation is different. Obviously, Mike McDaniel came there. He had, Tua, a young QB that he could mold, and obviously, it helped when he got like 2 basically number 1 receivers, like 2 speedy receivers. But even so, like he made it work. He figured it out. He figured out the talent. He did a good job of figuring out talent and making it work with his offensive system.
Yep, and he tailored that offense around the talent of his football team, something that Josh McDaniels has not done.
Exactly.
That's the biggest difference, and that separates good from great coaches. That separates bad to good coaches. You know what I mean? If you would just make those, that's why I'm telling you this coaching staff is trying to lose games. There's just too much talent. There's too much.
Yeah.
Gruden would get blown out in these close games. We read that one. This is what McDaniels does. Dirty Low says, I just did the research, might be late, but McDaniels has done this exact thing at times before. Rams, Broncos.
Ooh, you know that, and I wanted to bring that up too, last show, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. But so after Denver, after his Denver coaching situation, he didn't go straight to New England. He spent 1 year as an offensive coordinator for the Rams,
And did
and
horrible.
as an offensive coordinator, he did horrible. Like all the way around, running game, passing game, it was terrible. Then he went back to New England, and then the rest was history. He went back to his successful ways, but it just I didn't look into it too much because it's just 1 year. You know what I mean? 1 year doesn't make like a whole person. You know what I mean? 1 year is like an exception to the rule, but at the end of the day, like when you see him struggling, at the Raiders struggling, you gotta like look at him. He's the head of the snake at the end of the day.
Keep It Real says, no diss, fellas. If Gruden was so great, just look at his draft picks. How many of them turned out in the NFL? And to be fair, on our end, we never addressed the draft pick situation. We were the context of what we were talking about was if the game was on the line, who would you trust? Josh McDaniels
Yeah.
and John Gruden, and in one score game with Derek Carr having the ball. That was the context of that comment. We don't think his play calling was great. We don't think like Gruden is not a perfect head coach by any stretch of the imagination. We were talking about a very specific context. So no, we don't think any of those draft picks are good. We've never came on here and claimed that to be so. So yeah,
look, all I'm doing is if you were to compare McDaniels and you would have compared Gruden as a coach, not as a personnel decision maker, just as a coach. You can look at like there's some key differences, and one of the differences is the fact that Gruden teams were a lot tougher. They played hard. They're a lot tougher. Josh McDaniels' team so far, there's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of people are questioning their effort. You know what I mean? Like you got Carr crying, talking about like players on players on the team, and even Devontae Adams, another player, prominent player on the team. He's pointing to the players on the team, lack of execution. They haven't fully bought in.
that's what sucks too, man. Is like Derek Carr. I feel like is at that point where he's broke. Like he's he's officially kind of like broken, bro. Like he sees what's going on with the organization. He sees like, okay, bro, I've been through this before. I know exactly what's coming, and I just think that this is the perfect time to move on. I really do. D Menace says, fire chair with the super chat, $10 super chat, dude. This is because of you and Daniel Kim. Yeah, you guys got me this chair, man. So shout out to you, man. God bless all of you. So now my back is straight. Now we could go. We're doing a 24-hour show. I'm just kidding. No, my back is good now, man. Shout out to you guys for supporting the channel, man. It goes a long way. It really does. Facts. Kyle Shanahan's solid when he wins with a depleted team year after year.
Yeah. With no QB, bro. No, he's doing it with no QB. Like, I'm sorry, Garoppolo's a backup QB, and I think that the guy Trey Lance, he might be a bust. He might be a bust at quarterback, but he's done. I think he's done a lot with what his team he has. But that team is talented too. You got Deebo Samuels and Kittle, and that left tackle is probably the best left tackle in football.
Mm-hmm. So, dude, Nathaniel Hackett, Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels obviously going against his former team. Both of these teams have completely underwhelmed. Denver Broncos have a 3-win season. Their offensive line is in shambles right now. They're struggling as a unit internally. Very kind of similar situations. Head coaching is having an issue. So going into this game, man, I don't ever want to just come out and be like, yeah, dude, I just want the Raiders to lose, but I kind of alluded to it earlier that if Josh McDaniels is going to come away with a win this year, at least land what you're aiming for and land that top draft pick. That way you can go out there and get your guy and not miss out on that. I know everybody's saying that they want to at least beat the Niners and beat the Broncos, but at this point, like if we fast forward 2 years and we're winning, we're not going to look back and worry about that Denver Broncos game that was a garbage game that just moved us down the draft order away from our guy. So to be honest with you, I say if you have a plan, commit to that plan. If you're going to lose, you better lose. That's where I'm at with it. Do show me that you could do something.
Hey man, I'm hoping for an 8-game win streak right now. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I want the Raiders to win. I am a homer when it comes to the Raiders team, but I am realistic too, and
that might have been one of the most unrealistic things I think I've ever heard you say.
I'm hoping. That's why I said I'm hoping. Keyword hoping. Are they going to go on an 8-game winning streak? Probably no. They're not. Probably not. But I'm just saying that, like,
I would be so salty if they did.
I don't like watching losing football, and that's crazy to say because I'm a Raider fan. And I've seen a whole lot of losing, but I just don't. I can't go into Sunday expecting them to lose. I got to go in there thinking like, oh, okay, they can win this game because I like when the Raiders win. I'm gonna be honest. I like when the Raiders win. But But you said you started this conversation by saying Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
And I think Nathaniel Hackett might be the worst coach in football. You can make your argument.
I think you're seeing 32 and 31 compete.
Yeah,
on the same evening.
Yeah, that's a good point. Touche.
Yeah. I really do think that. Like, they're not too
31.
far off.
McDaniels is 31 and 32
yeah,
is Nathaniel Hackett. Like
yeah,
the Denver Broncos are averaging a league low 14 points a game. And I just seen a stat here. If the Denver Broncos averaged 18 points per game, which would have still been 7th lowest in the league, they would be 8-1. That's how well their defense is playing. The defense is probably, I think, statistically the best defense in football. I think 49ers defense might be better, but statistically speaking, I think Denver is the number one defense in the league, and all they needed was 18 points a game from that offense, and they're not getting it. They're averaging 14 points a game. Maybe this might be a much needed win for the Raiders. It's possible, but last couple of weeks have been games where we said, "Oh, are winnable," but these days games are not winnable. So, I really I don't want to be too negative, but I was gonna talk a lot of shit. But
no, I want you to be honest with me though, because I like I said, man, we have open and honest dialogue over here, and it's where are you really at with these win totals? Like, do you really want the Raiders to go out here and win games when you're talking about the long-term vision of obviously what's going on in Vegas right now? Where are you truly at? Like, or do you really want to see the Raiders go out here and maybe win 4 of the last 8 games? Or do you want them to secure that spot to be able to go and get the guy that is of the future? Because the quarterback position is going to be crucial. Let's be honest. Like, whether the rookie has success his rookie year or not, it's going to be a foundation piece for your franchise moving forward. And you want to make sure that you get that right if you're going to rebuild. Because if you don't, you're setting this franchise back even farther. That's why I have to be careful with like these wins and losses, bro. Because if you miss on grabbing that quarterback, bro, then they're really, really hurting at that point.
Yeah, I don't believe in tanking. I don't believe in it. I know it makes sense. Yeah, just lose all the games, but that's not how you build a winning culture. I don't think that's and that's the issue with the Raiders. Like, they haven't been a winning team in a long time. I don't think that's a good sign in that locker room. If you're over here, and the players are not dumb. Like, I know that they know, especially Derek Carr. There's a reason why he broke down in the press conference, because he could see like what the Raiders are doing as well. Like, as well as what's happening on the field, he's noticing what's happening off the field. Players going on injury reserve, players getting on the do not play list. I think there was a few players that didn't play in the game, on it specifically the D-line. Matthew Butler was a player that was not playing that game because of disciplinary reasons. Neil Farrell, another draft pick, was not playing. I think Cleveland Farrell was one of those guys, I think, that didn't play as well.
One of probably our best run defenders going against Jonathan Taylor, and was just a healthy scratch.
Exactly. You know what I mean? A team that depends highly on their run game with Jonathan Taylor, and you take away one of our best, I mean, at this point, one of our best, young D linemen that can stop the run. It's just, I'm not a big believer in that. I think, if they can win some games, if they can win, then maybe McDaniels can win me over and be like, okay, you know what? You got this team going in the right direction. You got this team believing. You're figuring out how to win. What has he been saying the whole year? Oh, this team is still learning how to win. A team that's a veteran team. How do you say that?
No. It's even worse. His quote was, "We have to find how to not lose." Do you remember how he worded that? He's like, you got to find ways to not lose first before you learn how to win.
That's crazy.
Oh boy,
That's
Josh
crazy.
McDaniels is garbage, boy.
But if we end up losing all our games, then I think that, Mark Davis, which he's not probably just looking at the recent statements, he's not going to do it. But I think he should fire Josh McDaniels, because when you lose a locker room, how can you come back from that?
Yeah, you
How
can't.
how can you justify bringing a coach that loses a locker room? Like, oh, we're going to bring in new players so you can lose that locker room too? No, no, that is not how it
It's
works.
one thing to lose close football games. It's one thing, you're a struggling new play caller. Even there's a lot of excuses, right, that you can lay out in the National Football League for a head coach. But when you lose a locker room, those are one of those conversations that there's almost no coming back from that. Like,
Yeah.
and I made a video, I dropped it, and I recommend you guys go and see it. But I kind of alluded to, like, dude, when you lose a locker room, you almost don't come back from that. And if you do, you've got to move on from key leadership in the organization. So a Derek Carr, big time players that are heavily invested in this locker room. Look, you've got to move on to set a standard and set a tone in the locker room of, hey, look, yeah, this guy was with us for 9 years and was the face of the franchise for almost a decade. But if you're not in with the system, then you know what I mean? We're moving on. So, dude, it's scary because I don't think he has the locker room. And look, there's 40 of you guys in the building. If all 40 of you guys can smash that like button, man, it really goes a long way for the show. So we don't ask for a penny from you guys. Just go smash that like button. We should have 40 likes without a shadow of a doubt, man. We have best believe McDaniels is going to catch coach's heart out against the Broncos. We'll see. He should have been coaching his heart out for the last 9 games. Salute, Ray Farrow. What are you laughing at?
Salute, Sean. Nah, I mean that statement, like, come on, coach his heart out. Like, what was he doing last game? What was he doing the game against Jeff Saturday? A guy that, like, literally is a former player who he was on TV breaking. Like, literally, he had a tweet last week. They brought up a tweet because he became head coach of the Colts. And during that week, they brought up, like, his past tweets talking about how Devontae Adams was on his fantasy team and he had 0 catches, how the Raiders are horrible. He was saying this. So imagine what he's saying to the locker room. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
For a guy to come off of TV, he was literally on TV, just come in, be like, oh, all right, I'm gonna be head coach this week. Oh, you want to be the play caller? Okay, you're the play caller. And then literally come to Las Vegas and win a game. Like, come on, bro. Like,
it's like they went into their, like,
McDaniels,
all right, raise the hands. Who wants to call plays this Sunday? and they just, like, randomly pick somebody. Raphael says, "Can I be a mod?" Yeah, Raphael, we'll get you a wrench. The problem is McDaniels can't get guys to buy into his system. Even Adams is trying to convince himself, but he knows it isn't going to work.
mm-hmm.
Stuff. This is just goes to show you, man. You can get as many passes. I mean, he's almost at 1,000 yards already, right? And 9 games into the year, he's getting pretty close. This goes to show, yeah, and he's not happy, So just goes to show you, man. Even if you're fed, bro, you're not always happy. The Raider Room says we need dubs before the season is over. I'm not rooting for a tank in the season with momentum.
Facts, 100%. Like that is best case scenario. I don't care what anybody says. I know everybody's like, oh, we want to get top draft. You get that because I would have won a top draft pick if we had no talent on the team. We had no talent, 0 talent, but we have talent on the team. So it's just like, oh man, it's just not. Give me some type of confidence. Give me some type of, like, all right, you know what? Josh McDaniels has a chance to actually turn this around because the team is fully bought in, but I'm not seeing that right now. I'm not seeing that at all.
Mm. Raider Room says, my guess is the regime would trade back and gain more draft capital. That's a possibility, man. They have an opportunity to land a ton of draft picks, like, especially if they trade out from that top spot. Like, bro.
But Raider Room, though, that you're kind of assuming that they're going to stick with Derek Carr. Because think about it. I think they will do that if they got, let's say, if they got a top 10, top 5 pick. And usually teams that trade up are trading up for a QB. So if you already have an established QB on the roster, then you have more flexibility to actually trade down and do whatever. But if you don't, if you feel like Derek Carr is not the guy, and there's a quarterback in that top 5 or wherever the later Raiders are in that top 10, that lottery pick, then they're gonna pick that. They're gonna pick that quarterback for sure, without a doubt.
Mm. It's a unique position to be in, right?
Right.
Because we don't understand what. I mean, we would guess that Derek Carr, this might be his last season, but dude, maybe it's not. You know,
Right.
maybe it's not. So I don't know. Auntie Six says the real question I have is would you rather lose games and Josh lose the locker room more, or us win some games, head us into the right direction for next year? Because to be honest, I don't like any quarterbacks in the class.
Like I kind of really answered that question a few moments ago. Like, hey, I don't believe in tanking. I just don't believe in it. Like, I don't know what you're trying to, what kind of message you're trying to send to the building. Like, I just don't. I understand it. I get the logic. Oh, tank so you get the highest pick, but this is not a video game. You're dealing with people, and people are made up of habits. And you want to build a culture, then you got to be able to build winning habits. So I think it's a better message if, hey, look, at the end of the day, if Josh McDaniels can figure it out, we can win some games, finish the season strong. You know what I mean? I don't want to finish 6-10 or whatever, but I'm just saying I'd rather have the Raiders win, in my opinion.
Yeah, this year's just tough. It's not a typical season of just you're a bad team and you're just landing in the draft pick. There's just so much going on behind the scenes with this when it comes to Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler and Mark Davis and what happened last season and then the off season that you had talent. It's just such a weird storyline. It's so like, and if you are going to go get a quarterback, and Auntie Six says he doesn't like quarterbacks in the class, there's a few that I think have high upside. They're not NFL ready quite yet. I do like the upside of a few of them, but you can make the argument even. Let's just look at it from a paradigm. You said you get a top pick because you're a bad football team, and typically you're not just a quarterback away. But you could also say that if you go in here and go get a young, confident guy who hasn't been damaged and destroyed by this organization like a DC, and you put him into an offense that has a ton of talent, do you get a guy on a rookie deal and go out and build one of the top defenses in the National Football League?
I don't want Josh McDaniels to pick a quarterback.
I know.
I don't think he's gonna last. I don't think he's last. I'd rather just have like a young and upcoming coach. You know what I mean? Just come in and make the pick, or even a established coach. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know this might be just hoping, but maybe a Sean Payton if he's available. You
Dude,
know what I mean? But
I don't even think
that's like gonna be the best gift. That'd be a great Christmas gift. We find out that there's rumors that Sean Payton's gonna become the head coach of the Raiders. That'd be the best
I don't
gift of all
think
time.
us even having a head coach, and I hate to say this, I don't think us having a head coach conversation is even realistic. I think Mark Davis means what he says when Josh McDaniels is going to be the head coach for the next few seasons. Now, if he comes out and just completely, like I said earlier, drops the ball next year, and where we're sitting at today is where we're sitting at next year, yeah, I think then is when you're having those Sean Payton conversations or some other head coach coming into the organization. But as far, dude, as next season goes, I think you're going to have Josh McDaniels making the pick at quarterback or whatever the move is in the first round, and I think that we're just going to have to live with it because that's what Mark Davis has decided to do.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's just the reality. That's how I feel. Auntie Six says not one player is hurting this team. It's not one player going to fix this team. It takes 11 players on the field and communicate, get along to execute the play call. Facts. 100%, bro. Like, we're not a quarterback away. We're not just a handful of defensive players away. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed. Josh McDaniels needs to take a long look at his scheme and come to the realization that there's going to be a lot of changes that need to be made when it comes to his play calling abilities. When it comes to, you got to address the quarterback situation. If you're moving on from DC, you've got to build a defense. You've got to give yourself a true opportunity, even though I think the defense has given the offense every opportunity to go out there and win games this year. It's just been execution.
So given what we know so far about this season, what you've seen, what you watched,
yeah,
who are going to be the scapegoats of the season?
The obvious one is going to be the quarterback position. So let's do that. I think, even though I don't think he's going to lose his job, if there was going to be a guy to lose his job, I think Patrick Graham would be the one. I thought that they alluded to something pretty interesting in the press conference when they said, hey, not when Josh McDaniels was getting talked and addressed about, what's the move for next year? Like, what is your vision for next year? And he made the point that, look, there's going to be a lot of these players that aren't here next year, and there's going to be coaches that aren't here next year. I think you're going to move on from the special teams coordinator. The defensive coordinator, you can make an argument that, hey, they go in a different direction. I don't know. I don't think PG has. Here's the thing with PG with me, man. Like, I'm not as high as I was in the offseason about him. Like, I get that he's dealing with a lack of talent. I get all of that 110%. I do like the fact that he's kind of kept these scores down a little bit, but that's been a trend in the National Football League. We've seen a lot more lower scoring this year. So is that Patrick Graham, or is that the direction that the league has gone this year? I don't know.
We've seen a 40-yard run by Matt Ryan.
Exactly.
A 40-yard run by Matt Ryan.
Where are you at with PG, to be honest with you?
I'm not as tough on him as McDaniels. I think that, he doesn't have, you can make an argument for him that he doesn't have all the talent at his disposal. You can actually make a good argument. You can make a case for him. Yeah. But I do think that he's an obvious scapegoat if McDaniels stay. Because McDaniels can easily tell Mark Davis and be like, you know what? Our defense wasn't up to par. We're gonna get a new guy in there. Or obviously the number one guy that you mentioned, hey, Derek Carr is not my guy. Like, we tried it. He's not my guy. We made it out. We made a contract that's beneficial to us. Let's draft a QB in the top 5 or top 10 or wherever they land in the ladder in the draft and move on.
Dude, I think it's going to be really, really weird to see Derek Carr not in the silver and black.
Oh, it's going to be strange.
I think it's going to be a big pivot in the organization.
And I think if he goes to a team, if he's smart, he'll go to a great situation, and I think he'll flourish. And when I see that happening, it's gonna just even be I think Mark Davis should sell the team, to be honest with you.
I would like that move.
I think Mark Davis should sell the team. Like, he's just not. It's just, man, like they need to sell the team. They need to
do exactly what he's doing.
Are the Warriors owners looking to buy an NFL team? Because they seem to know what to do, how to run a pro franchise. I know that's basketball, but man, we need some owners that are competent, that want to win. They went off the field and went on the field. I mean, I'm not saying that Mark Davis he's done well for himself. Obviously, he moved the Raiders to Las Vegas. Obviously, that was a dream of Al Davis. Al Davis actually wanted to move the team to Las Vegas. So, and Mark Davis mentioned that in the past. But at the end of the day, he's good, man. Like, I just don't. Mark Davis, man, when he comes out with these statements, it's just like, come on, bro. Like, you can't be serious. And a lot of people are pointing to the fact that he's not as cash rich as all the other owners, and that kind of affects his decision making a little bit. And that's why maybe he has to stick with McDaniels, because he gave him a guaranteed contract. So it's just like, come on, man. Like, let's get another owner that has plenty of money, that wants to win, and will get competent guys to run the football team. That's all. The winning franchises are owners that run the business side and have a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? Or they know what they're doing. I mean, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They know what they're doing. Like, they literally have, you can count how many head coaches have they had in their history. Like, it's crazy. It's like almost like less than 20. It's probably like 10. I got to look at it. How many Pittsburgh Steelers? It's really low. But if you
compared to the Raiders.
Exactly. That's my point. Let me see. Pittsburgh Steelers, how many?
Yeah. Dodgers, everything says we would have to trade for Sean Payton. Plus, we will have to pay McDaniels and Gruden. Shaking my head. We wouldn't have to trade for Sean Payton. He's not a coach. He's not coaching anywhere. We are way too desperate. That's why we're getting screwed. Can also trade back and gain more draft capital. Take a quarterback in the second and go heavy on defense. Have a QB bridge for a year. That kind of seems like the trend, right? That seems to be what everybody's thinking about doing. D Menace posting the plugs. Pharaoh's channel right here. Auntie Six says, I think one issue on offense is Josh has nothing but yes men around him and doesn't have anyone with NFL head coaching experience around him or his coaching staff to guide him.
I thought it was going to be a huge difference, but like, the Raiders had 22 head coaches all together from LA, Las Vegas, and Oakland. And then Pittsburgh Steelers had 16.
Had 16 That's actually more than what I thought.
Yeah.
I think it's just been in recent history how consistent they've kept head coaches.
Man, you can only wish. You can only hope.
Rich says we have zero pass rush. Outside of Max Crosby, man, we are desperate, which is why you also go make a move for Jerry Tillery. You're just kind of taking a flyer on the guy.
What happened to Chandler Jones? Like, we have to talk about that. Like,
and you know what's interesting?
Is he done? Is he completely done? Like, he has to retire or something like that? Like,
bro, think about it this way: when do you ever see him do press conferences anymore?
It's too embarrassing.
You think, dude? I don't know. Like, what?
He has 0.5 sacks.
Like, what is going on with him behind the scenes, bro?
Well, he did have like he did talk to a beat writer like a week or two ago, and he was talking about how like, hey, I've been grading out well with my coaches. That was like one of the main things he was saying.
Yeah, because he ain't posting nothing on social media. There's an A- right there.
Oh my God,
it's driving me nuts.
We got a super chat though.
Oh yeah, let's go address that. Demi by nature, how many free agent players are going to want to come here and play for us after watching what took place this year? That's a great point, and I don't think unless you make a significant move, maybe even at the quarterback position, you really are going to have to sell defense in free agency. That's what I think. I think a lot of the offensive talent isn't going to want to come, but maybe if you can sell that, hey, look, we're going to try to build this thing, but then at the same time, it's like you got to nail the right ones because you go out and sign a Chandler Jones. And we all thought that Chandler Jones was going to be this great bookend edge defender. And look, everybody was thinking that. You know what I mean? National media, players around the National Football League, the Raiders, the fan base. Everybody thought that Chandler Jones was going to be a great acquisition to go against opposite side of Max Crosby. But what a swing and a miss that was. And you didn't just throw him a little bit of money. Like, you threw him the bag, and you completely whiffed on that. So, yeah, you can even throw – I know the whole narrative is like, hey, Raiders haven't spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the football. But spending a lot of money on the defensive side of the football doesn't always lead to success. Mm-hmm. It's spending money wisely and finding true scheme fits that fit the system. And that's what my biggest concern is. You know what I mean? I don't think you have to go get a ton of superstar players, but you have to go get guys that are going to fit this system and give you a competent defense, and then go draft young. Those guys, you don't have to rely on free agency at that point. Then you can go draft young guys, and that they're brought into this organization, and then they can go out there and do their thing. But yeah, as far as selling something to free agents, man, look, at the end of the day, this is a business. Money will talk. Regardless if you were 2-7, you realize why, Jacksonville Jaguars are able to go out there and make signs in the offseason. You know what I mean? Notable names that were on good teams. Why? It's a business.
I will say this. I will say this to speak to what Demi by nature, and just to show the other side to it is that, like, the worse that we are, the worse environment. Okay, the worse the Raiders are as a team, and then the environment and the coaching staff, the more we have to overpay.
Yep.
The reason why, like, if you look at the Jacksonville, you mentioned Jacksonville Jaguars, even the Raiders, when we were terrible back in the day, we overpaid for players to come here. Instead, it could be way more easier where you could just sell them on winning, and the fact that you have no state tax here and you have a great facilities. Now you actually have to, like, okay, now like players have to think, because players do talk. They all talk, and they're gonna know, like, what's going on in there in Vegas. Oh, they're doing the Patriot thing. Oh, okay. Josh McDaniels thinks he's Bill Belichick. Yeah. Oh, they're monitoring social media. Ooh, you know what? I'll take a little bit less here to have a way better lifestyle.
And that's not even bringing up the stories that are going around among players behind the scenes that are never going to be addressed to the media. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro, this is what I heard out of the locker room. This is what I heard about Josh McDaniels and Mark Davis. And this is what I heard in the players and the coaches meeting between Max and DC. And, bro, there's a lot of stuff that could go on behind the scenes. But, Demi, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Thank you, everybody who financially supports this channel. I mean, I got a new chair. You know what I mean? Making upgrades, it goes a long way, but I don't ever ask you guys to ever sow in money. I just appreciate those that do. It goes a long way, and I'm very grateful for that. Demi says that he had 5 sacks in 16 games last year, and we ignored it. A lot of the fan base ignored it. We talked about it, man. I had a video.
I ignored it too. He had 5 sacks in one game.
Yeah, no, I made a video in the offseason talking about, because I was going to make a unique Ngakoue Chandler Jones comparison video. and because at that time there was a lot of like confusion. Is this really an upgrade? Yada yada yada. So I was really breaking down the run defense of Chandler Jones compared to Yannick Ngakoue at that time. And obviously by watching film, you realize, hey, look, in the first game he had 5 sacks, and then throughout 16 other games he only had 5 to finish out the year. That's typically not a very good sign. So that was a red flag to me. But me being optimistic, just like I was with Josh McDaniels, I was like, you know what? He's still a good premier bookend pass rusher. He averages 10 sacks a season. You know what I mean? Let's see what he can do with Max Crosby.
Hey, Ray, it's funny. Like, we're not, obviously we're not in the NFL. We're not in the NFL. We're not coaches, but it's crazy. Like, what were they? Did they look at any type of film, or did they? Do they like? I don't understand. Like, how did they?
I think that they did. I think what they were looking for was a guy who could set a good edge. And at that time, Chandler has those ties with Josh McDaniels, with the New England scheme and system, Dave Ziegler. And I don't know if this was, I don't know. I mean, they completely whiffed on this signing. He's not worth the money that you went out and threw him. Even when you watch film, to be honest with you, now that you're seeing it on film and we're 9 games into the year, it's such a head scratcher, because if this was going to be the way that you were going to use Chandler Jones, I would have been cool with putting Cleve Farrell starting on the outside and let him just be a power edge setter and stop the run, because Cleve Farrell, bro, has more sacks than Chandler Jones. Put that in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you were going to go that route, you could have saved
Nate Hobbs has more sacks than.
Oh my!
Nate Hobbs is second on the team.
Amik Robertson has more sacks than. Oh my god!
Nate Hobbs is on injury reserve, y'all, and he has more sacks. He's second on the team in sacks. Like the Raiders,
more sacks than a player that made the top 100 list last year.
But when you watch the game, he doesn't look fat. Like, it looks like he's a step slow. He just looks like
he looks nothing. That's what I mean. Like, is there more like going on that we don't know? Is he dealing with an injury that's just not even being mentioned? Like, at this point, something dire is going on with Chandler Jones. Either he hit the biggest wall full speed possible, or he's dealing with something that might be lingering. I don't know.
Would you all right? Would you accept a restructuring, or would you just cut him all together, knowing that you have to owe him a lot of? It's a lot of.
See, that's what's tough, bro. Unfortunately, with that contract, you always have to look at these like a specific individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler Jones, his contract situation, dude. Like, you're almost.
Let me look this up.
You almost want. I want to restructure it, but dude, all that's doing is pushing cap space back. It's at what point with the player is it such a bad scheme fit that you just wash your hands of it and maybe eat that money and just move on? Hey, look, if the Raiders go out and get Will Anderson in the first round and that top pick, I think you got to trade or move on from Chandler Jones.
No, they need to get someone in that front seven. But, man, hold on. I'm looking at the.
I'm not as high either on Will Anderson. I don't know if you've got to watch any film on him. I think he's really. Every time I come out here and say that, I always get people to blow up the comments real quick. Let me put it in context, like I always have to do since it's the internet.
So I'm looking at his. So he has a $4 million cap hit this year, base salary, but then he has signing bonus, roster bonus. Let me see what's next year. What is it going to be next year?
Does it say if they were to release him this year, what the cap hit would be? Like, if you release him before the start of the league year, would we only owe him the $4 million? Like, is there an out?
So he has his base salary next year is $7,500,000. Signing bonus $2,400,000, and his roster bonus is am I reading this right? $9,248,000.
Oh, bro. Hey, if that's the case, if I'm losing $9 million by cutting Chandler Jones, I'm running.
Oh my God! Dead cap hit is 25 mil.
Let me money. I think it's because it's guaranteed.
You want me to share this?
Yes, please share it. I'll post it up to the screen.
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me share this real quick. Damn, 25 mil. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you got to restructure it and maybe try to work out a trade. That's essentially where you're at with it.
So look, this is next year, right? You see it?
Yeah, let me share this. Let me add it. Derek Carr, Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so we got Chandler Jones here, and then if you look,
oh my goodness, sorry, look to the right. Calculated market values. Look at Andre James.
Andre James.
Look to the right, all the way to the right. It says calculated market values. $12 million, bro.
Oh, right here, $12 million.
Good night. Rock Ya-Sin 10.9. I could rock with that, honestly.
Oh, you talking about on the free agent market?
Yeah, that's what they're estimated to be worth right now.
I don't think they're gonna bring him back then.
No.
That means a guy like Parham's probably gonna take that center spot.
This isn't Andre James's last year, is it?
Nah, I don't think so. I think he has one more year at least.
Yeah.
Free agent. Yeah, free agent. His free agent. Yeah, he's a free agent in 2024.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, he's gonna make a nice amount of money if he stays on the trajectory he's at.
Yeah, but look.
44 of you guys in the building, man. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. We appreciate it.
And then look at the dead cap for Chandler Jones. 25 is. I don't. Am I reading this right?
Yeah, you are, bro.
It's bigger than Derek Carr's.
Yeah, bro.
25. God.
Look at the percentage of the cap he's taken.
Damn.
Half a sack, bro. 12 tackles on the year.
There's no way they can cut him. Like, how can you cut?
I'm telling you, it's probably one of the worst contracts I've seen them give out in recent history.
So look at the cap hit and look at the dead cap. Like, if they cut him,
yeah, bro,
he has to play.
I think it's because that dead cap is all the guarantees.
Damn,
that's the problem. Hey, shout out to Chandler Jones's agent, bro. Somebody send me his number.
This has to be one of the worst contracts. Like Dave Z, I know we were like kind of shouting him out, but this guy, this has to be one of the worst contracts in the NFL.
Move it to the left a little bit. I see his workout bonus. I kind of want to see where the money kind of falls, like the tiers.
All right, workout bonus. You see
roster bonus $9 million, signing bonus 2, base salary 7. Look at Devontae Adams though. Look at his numbers. Talk about production and look at the value.
This got to be fake. 6,000.
No, I mean, that's just salary. That's not all the guarantees.
Oh, roster bonus 5 is okay. 3 million. Okay. It's all kind of strategically done.
Yeah, it's all laid out. Kind of funny.
Look at dead cap hit. It's like 31 mil. They cut him. But now Devontae Adams though, it's well deserving because come on, bro.
No, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, like
bro. But say Devontae's like, no, I want out. Like they go in a rebuild, they move on from DC. He's like, I want out, and then you cut Chandler Jones between those two players, bro. $50 million in dead cap.
Look, you know what? Let's actually look. Let's look at another guy that a lot of fans like to talk about, Darren Waller. So next year he got a 11 million base salary, roster bonus 1,275,000. Crazy how we're counting this dude's money, man. Hey man, but look, let's see. Cap hit 12,640,000. Okay. Hey, man. That's a lot when a guy doesn't play, though. I'll tell you that. For sure.
Hey, man. Daniel Kim, Fax Van City, great duo talking Raiders ball. Van City says, J-Dub says, Van, I just found this channel right now. Shout out to you, J-Dub. Thank you for pulling up, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. There's 50 of you guys in the building. Make sure you smash that like button.
You know what, though? Would you do this?
What?
Look at Derek Carr's numbers. Would you? I know we kind of said that he's probably gonna be the scapegoat, but this is not bad.
What, 34 mil?
It's not bad.
Well, when you're talking about market value.
Market value, like because the way quarterbacks get paid, that's actually not.
And after that Amazon deal that goes through, bro, that number's gonna shoot through the roof.
Exactly. And then look, and if for whatever reason they change their mind and Derek Carr gets out of line,
gets out of line. Oh, stop it.
5,625,000.
Nah, bro. Honestly,
I kind of would. I want to keep Carr, but like I know a lot of Raider fans.
Dude,
like
you almost have to get rid of Carr to cover the dead cap hit to move on from Chandler Jones.
Yeah,
That's pretty much where you're at. You're like,
this contract is so bad that
so
they
bad,
have to
dude,
get. It's almost like they have to get rid of Derek Carr and some
to
players
pay
on the
the
roster.
tab. We have to get rid of our quarterback to pay the tab of Chandler Jones. That's where we're at as Raider fans, yo.
We need to figure out this Chandler Jones. Hopefully, we'll figure it. Well, there's 8 games left, and
I know there's a you know what's funny is I know we talk about him because lack of sacks and production, but he really does go under the radar when everybody's talking about, oh, Darren Waller's hurt, Hunter Renfro's contract. Man, Chandler Jones has just been the quiet fly on the wall, bro, that's just gone under the radar a little bit. You know why though? It's because he's actually been out there. That's how he's been able to kind of fly underneath the radar a little bit.
Hey, and you know what? No one's really talking about this is Hunter Renfro. This is a big number if he continues to play like this. If he can't stay on the field.
Here's the thing though. Is it a big number in comparison to Zay Jones making $10 to $11 million a year?
No.
Yeah.
I think Hunter Renfro is a better player than Zay Jones for sure. So in that aspect, no. But because Renfro is a better player, he is a slot receiver at the end of the day too. But it's just, man, if you can't be on the field and you're not effective in this McDaniels offense for whatever reason, we know the reason why he's not effective in this offense. But
hey, Rich made a point. Chandler just needs to be cool and retire. Hey, yo, just throw it in the bag and save us some money,
bro. For real, just retire. Don't ever come back, too. Stay home. Don't come back.
Van City says $216 million between Carr, Jones, and Waller. Whoo! Oh, man. And look, you're talking about a situation where 2 of the 3 of those could be gone. You could also make an argument that 3 of those players could be gone next year.
Damn, man.
Like, there was that report today that, and who knows how true it is, but there's a report that came out today that Josh McDaniels is Josh McDaniels and this regime are growing frustrated with Darren Waller. If you get if somebody offers you a second, say Green Bay comes in the offseason and offers you a second for Darren Waller, are you pulling the trigger?
Yes, but yeah, I mean I am, but it's just like, damn. I'm over here. I'm hoping that it can work out because Devontae Adams with Darren Waller is just, I'm still kind of waiting for that. But yeah, like obviously it makes sense to cut your ties, especially for a guy that just hit 30 2 years back to back. His production has decreased. He's been on the injury reserve longer than he's been. You know what I mean? Like he's been outside he's been off the field than he's been on the field. And he's back on the injury reserve. So it makes sense if we can get a second rounder, even though I think he's a first round talent when he's healthy, when he's healthy, but that's a big if. But I don't know what something is going on with the Raiders. And I think to me, it just boils down to me. It's just McDaniels has not been a good fit for the Raiders at all.
Yeah.
This is my opinion. That's just because look, we're hearing all about the players not getting along. They're pointing fingers. The people are questioning their effort. Every time it's crunch time, they make a lot of mistakes. It's just you can just point the finger just to Josh McDaniels. That's the coaching staff. And then you hear the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator talk about one of the reasons why the Raiders have been struggling this season is because the lack of fundamentals. Who? Hey, come on, man! Like, who's responsible? I know the players have a certain responsibility, but then the coaching staff, they got to be able to establish themselves, and they're the ones who teach the fundamentals. At the end of the day, they're the ultimate teachers. You know what I mean? I know these are guys that played at a high level from high school to college, and now the NFL. But man, like they've lost the locker room, and I'll just say Josh McDaniels has lost the locker room. At the end of the day, it's just you can't come back from that. You can't come back from that. And I know, and we made a good point too, because I know this show is supposed to be about the Raiders versus Denver Broncos, but I know y'all don't want to talk about that when the Raiders are losing games 2-7. We could talk a little bit about the Broncos as well. We'll get into a little bit, but man, like you just said, like early on, like 30, Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels are 31-32. You know what I mean, in the league as far as the worst coach.
Don't even put 31 and 32. It's like garbage 1 and garbage 2.
Who would you say another coach is up there? Nathaniel Hackett, obviously Josh McDaniels, just based off like the expectations and the talent on the roster, and the fact that he inherited a playoff team. I know people can argue like, well, the Raiders kind of, overperformed last year. I don't care. I don't care. 2-7 is a failure. It's a failure, huge failure.
You know what? I don't want to put Lovie Smith in that category because he's dealing with a complete different situation than what the Broncos.
Way different situation.
So, bro, I honestly give Lovie Smith some like wiggle room because he's not dealing. Talk about lack of talent and a deficiency there. I mean,
that's what I'm saying,
bro. It's hard to name it a worse head coach right now.
They literally fired. Okay, they fired the Carolina Panther head coach. You could have said
everybody that was worse got fired, and they're not coaches anymore.
You hear that, Mark Davis?
They're out of here.
For real, bro. Like, come on. You see all these owners. Like, come on, man. Like, I know. In my opinion, it doesn't matter to me if they let Josh McDaniels, coach out the whole season. I don't care. What I'm trying to say is like you can't go into next season with Josh McDaniels. But we'll see. It's 8 games left though. It's 8 games. If they go on an 8-game win streak, then hey, I'm gonna be. Y'all could come back here and be like, hey, you remember Pharaoh? Like you was talking all this mess about Josh McDaniels being trash.
Somebody's gonna record you saying all this though. They're gonna be like, remember when Pharaoh said we could win 8 games?
Hey, I hope I'm wrong. Please, please. I want y'all to be. I hope McDaniels is going to go down one of the best Raider coaches.
See, even when that comes out and you say that, something just doesn't feel right in my gut. I'm like, right. Yeah, bro, that ain't. PG wants to run a 3-4 defensive front with a 4-3 on personnel. He runs his coverage like a Tampa 2 with man personnel, bad scheme with the wrong roster strength. Yeah, he's kind of pigeon-toed here, right? He's dealing with a system and scheme that he typically runs that none of the guys are really fitting right now, and it's because the amount of injuries, the amount of depth, the lack of building a defense in the offseason. There's a lot of things, you've got a linebacker retiring, Denzel Perryman struggling to stay healthy. He's not a coverage linebacker. You'd like to get a little bit more coverage ability out of those guys. When it comes to the cornerback position, we talked about it in the offseason. Look, if 1 or 2 of these guys get hurt, you're really talking about some shaky depth. Now you've got a Sam Webb in there. I almost just called him Damon Arnett. Anthony Averett. Anthony Averett is playing like a Damon Arnett and might as well be sitting where he's sitting on Sundays. But
struggling. But look, I'm not as hard on PG as I am on Josh McDaniels. But that being said, they're both kind of struggling in that they're both coaches that I was kind of like, hey, going into the season, like they were supposed to be the coaches to tailor their systems to the players' strengths, and they haven't done that. I'm hearing more that, their system doesn't fit the players. They need to get their own players in there. Like, come on, like, aren't you supposed to be a good coach and just recognize what you have and use what you have?
And that's my biggest issue, Pharaoh, with this whole offseason. It was like, if you would have came out and clearly gave us, hey, look, we're going to have to move on from a few key pieces in this organization. Prepare yourself. Like, look, this year, you know what I mean? We're going to have to kind of set the foundation for what the future is going to look like. And it might get a lot worse before it gets better. If you could have been blunt and honest with the nation in the locker room and the fan base, I think that you have a lot more buy-in with the fans at this point, like buying into Josh McDaniels, because they expected a season that was probably not going to be that great. But the fact that you sold us and you try to be cute and fancy with it, and you try to be like, hey, look, this isn't a rebuild, this is a retooling. You completely lied to the nation. You lied to the fan base. You lied to the guys in the locker room when you told them, hey, we're going to open up this 3-year Super Bowl window to go out there and compete and win now. You lied to those guys, and that's what's not recoverable. You would have had so much more respect from the locker rooms, more buy-in, if you would have been straight up and honest with them that, hey, look, we are going in the direction of rebuilding and seeing what players in this organization fit what we want to do moving forward. And really next year we'll kind of see like what direction we're going to go.
That's a great point too. And I've seen that video. Y'all should check it out. I think that this is why Mark Davis, I don't know if he knew this from the beginning. If they knew this from the beginning, then they should have worded it a little bit better. They shouldn't have come out and say, oh, this is a retooling. They should never came out and say that, oh, no, we're not going to be retooling. We're not going to be rebuilding. They should have just left those words out and just, kept it really open and just see, we're going to see what's going to happen. We want this team to win. That's fine with me. And then it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But when you say all those things and then you come out with these statements that just act like nothing's actually happened. It's like Mark Davis is over here saying it's a terrific season so far. Or not, he didn't say that, but he just says that, oh, Josh McDaniels he's doing great so far. And I'm like, you're saying it like he's 7-2, but we're set 2-7.
He's too comfortable, bro. Even if this is the plan, you have to put pressure on commitment to excellence. That's what the vision of this organization is a commitment to excellence. And you're letting this guy have this complete comfortable. You've created us like, what is our slogan, bro? Just win, baby. And you've let the coach, the leader of the organization, become complacent in losing football games.
Mm-hmm.
And you've given him and look, even if it's a 1-year issue of like, hey, we're going to lose games, we're going to go in this different direction, have a high draft pick. Even if you allow that small window of failure for him to eat on, that is a failure from the ownership from the top down. You should never, ever be like, hey, look, yeah, I'm going to allow you to lose this year. You should never even allow that to be an option on the floor. You know what I mean? Not in this organization, not in this building. Yeah. Playoff team to off-play team. How does that happen in 1 year? What changed? Can you guess? I'll let you take care of that.
Oh, man. Chandler Jones and Ngakoue? Nah, for sure coaching, man. It's coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching 100%, man. Like look, I look at the bigger I like to go after the big fish, not the small fish.
Yep.
A lot of people talking about Derek Carr this, Derek Carr that. Hey, Derek Carr, he's not a great QB. He's a good QB. This year he has regressed, but the one thing that I see that has a bigger impact on this team this year that I've seen is coaching. Coaching has been the biggest factor. If you have all these players in the locker room like pointing the finger at each other and they're not getting along and and when they're playing on the football field, it's just no chemistry and players are running the wrong routes. And it's just, that's to me, that's an environment that's created by coaching. It all boils down to the guys that are at top. And I think that boils down to Josh McDaniels and Dave Z got to take some credit too. I mean, look, we just look at the contract of Chandler Jones. That was terrible.
Horrible.
That's terrible. As much credit as I gave Dave Z in the offseason of getting Devontae Adams and pulling off these trades, hey, that there's a reason why you don't build a team off free agency. And, man, getting Chandler Jones on that type of contract, I did not know that it was that bad.
Blake Sanchez says Rome was built in a day. And earlier in the show, before everybody pulled up, I made a point. That's a cute saying. And Mark Davis comes out and says, hey, look, Rome wasn't built in a day. But little does Mark Davis knows that Rome burned in a day. So yeah, you can make the argument that this thing wasn't built, but it sure did burn in a day. That's for a fact. Van City says, I'm going to the Seattle game next weekend, and I'm gonna go early to give McClowniels a piece of my mind on the sidelines. Yes, Van City.
Damn.
Do it, dude.
You about to go crazy.
Do it.
You about to go crazy.
He's gonna know how much. Get him, Van City.
Man.
Let him know you're coming all the way from Canada too. Curtis Williams says that's why we see us getting rid of players. They don't want to fit with the new. Yeah, you'll have to reword that one. Rome also fell because of her inability to keep up with the advancements of her enemies. Drop it, Daniel boy.
Dropped the mic and left the building on that one. That's crazy.
All these Rome analogies, and we're over here killing it. Mark Davis felt cute and bold when he said it,
But going back to what we were talking about earlier about how like they kind of they knew all along.
They knew
this is part of the plan. Yeah. If you remember in that press conference, and I pointed it out in a video I dropped a few weeks ago, that Mark Davis pointed out how one of the reasons why he brought Josh McDaniels was his ability to
develop a quarterback. I'm telling you, it was in there's little nuggets of it because I'm so glad you made that point, dude, because I went back and watched that introductory press conference because you kind of looking back, hindsight's always 2020. So I just wanted to see if there was any type of indication.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was extremely, at the time, I didn't think much of it. You know what I mean? Because that was a lot of what the national media was spinning was that Josh McDaniels was this quarterback guru. But the fact that he alluded to that, it just put up this flag in my head of okay, you got Derek Carr, though. What do you got to develop a Matt Castle for? So the fact of the matter is he's saying that Josh McDaniels found a way to develop a quarterback. And it's oh, but I thought that you're in this win now mode and you got DC on your roster. It just kind of painted this picture of hey, look, there's going to be a point under this Josh McDaniels regime that this dude is going to go out here and develop a quarterback.
Yeah. Facts.
That's crazy, bro. That's
crazy. It's crazy when you look back at it. You be like, wow, that's literally what they're trying to do. I mean, and hey, it's okay. It's okay that Mark Davis felt good about it, but it's just damn, when you're a fan of the team and you're watching the product on the field, it's terrible.
AJ, at the end of all my videos that I make, I just dropped a video for the first time in a month or two. But I just dropped a video and I encourage everybody to go check it out. I dropped it yesterday, I believe, or last night. And I always finish my live shows with Just Win Baby and my videos with Just Win Baby. And dude, the new slogan for this season, man, is Just Tank Baby. That's what it's going to be. And I hate to say it because I'm not like Pharaoh. We've talked about it. We're not ones to just be throw in the towel, keel over, season's done. We like to go out here and compete each and every single week and go win football games. But it's just evident, you know what I mean? I would be foolish to say that I don't see that this team has a clear goal and a clear vision, and it's to get one of those top draft spots.
It's looking like it. It's looking like it. I mean, and it's just I don't know, man. I guess I gotta put something out. I want to hear from the nation. I want to hear from y'all. How do y'all feel about Josh McDaniels? I think a lot of it, I see a lot of people hating on Derek Carr, and rightfully so. I mean, he struggled at times, but also I want to know how the nation feels about Josh McDaniels. I think they really, I think I already know. I mean, but at the same time, it just got worse today. It just got worse in my opinion. How it got worse was with Mark Davis, and Mark Davis might be part of the problem too.
He should have just shut up for the rest of the year.
He should have not said nothing.
Mark Davis should have.
I would have been cool with that. But now that I'm hearing him talk and him making these statements, I'm like, oh my God, you have no clue.
No, you know what I think it is?
You have every clue.
I think he's reiterating the message. Okay, we talked about how him and McDaniels knows, right? I think he's reiterating a message to the locker room. I think he's letting this locker room know, hey, look, that dude, that guy's my guy, and I'm happy with what he's doing right now. And the owner is doubling down on what the head coach is doing. Which is, dude, it's another you're putting in more chips onto a table that is you're already splitting, bro. So you're going to see a lot of turnover. Hey, look, 53 of you guys in the building. If you guys can, smash that like button. Subscribe to both Pharaoh NFL and myself. We go live every Tuesday and Saturday and keep you up to date with all the latest and greatest Raiders content and news. Appreciate everybody for pulling up on Tuesday. But yeah, man,
it's going to be interesting. The next 8 games, what's going to happen? I mean, I know we've seen a lot this season so far, but I just feel like is Mark Davis really about to stick with McDaniels as head coach? And it just looks like it just based off these statements. But if let's say how about this? Let's say we don't win a game the entire season, and we get blown out, at least 2 or 3 games, because I feel like a blowout's coming, at least 2 or 3. At least 2 or 3 blowouts coming out. And that's crazy for me to say. I know I'm a Raider fan, but think about it.
By blowout, do you mean Saints types of blowout?
I'm talking about if we play Kansas City again, they beat our ass. They beat our ass. If the Raiders play the 49ers, oh my God.
Isn't it crazy that even from the first Kansas City game to where we are now, we're a completely different team in all the wrong reasons?
You said it again?
I believe right now where the Raiders are, as far as the locker room, the buy-in, the execution, because you got to think we're playing the Indianapolis Colts team, not a good football team. You know, we beat the Texans. We got beat by the Saints, who just lost again on Sunday. They didn't look great. So the Saints aren't that great of a team. I think they're like a three-win team or something like that right now in the year.
Right.
The Colts just beat us in a game that wasn't even, it was extremely boring, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Right, it was.
You play a team like the Kansas City Chiefs compared to the first time we played them. The first time, like we had this confidence that we're going to go after the Chiefs. We match up really well with them. I don't get that same vibe this second matchup.
Nah.
Like the momentum that we had going into that Kansas City Chiefs game and having an opportunity to salvage the season and kind of showcase where we are in the division, bro, all that's gone. All that momentum that you created is gone.
I will say this. It is the last game of the season. Is against the KC Chiefs. So at that point, maybe Mahomes is not playing and a lot of backups is playing. It looks like they're probably going to win a division this year. You know, so it might not be a huge blowout. I'm still hoping, like I said, I'm still hoping for an 8-game win streak, but damn, you know, saying that sounds crazy.
Yeah, that's a little. Will Anderson or Jalen Carter to be okay. So I was going to address this earlier. So like I said, it's the internet, so I always have to give context to absolutely everything before you get shredded. I really like Will Anderson, but I think his cons are not great for the NFL. Like, he doesn't have a ton of speed. A lot of his sacks are designs. Jalen Carter, though, you're talking about a really, really good defensive tackle. And I like his upside a lot. And it addresses a huge need that the Raiders have. Will Anderson with the Chandler Jones situation, I feel like you're bundling up a bunch of money at a same position, and you're almost making a situation harder on yourself. I think if you go out there and get a premier defensive tackle, if you do go that route, dude, unless this guy is going to come in here and be a Chris Jones or, like a Quinnen Williams, it's hard, like, especially if we're sitting at 3 or something.
Hey, you know what, too? Damn, this is crazy. I'm being hella honest right now, but I don't care. But look, I was thinking about, like, games where, like, damn, the Raiders can really be, like, blown out the way they're playing right now. And how they're showing up to these games against teams that they should beat. That Seattle game looks a lot tougher.
Bro, Seattle can dog walk us.
Ooh, that offense, they have one of the best offenses in the league.
Bro,
and it's in Seattle.
Geno Smith will shred the Raiders. Make no mistake about it, bro. Like, they have the potential to dog walk us.
Just saying.
Kenneth Walker, a dog.
Yeah. Damn, I had him on my fantasy too.
I know I did too. That was a sneaky good pickup for me, but yeah, Raider Room says Carter would be fire. I would really like Carter. That's just like, unless you're guaranteed to get like that Quinnen Williams, like I was talking about earlier, that Chris Jones type of caliber. It's like, man, if you're drafting around that 2 range, 3 range, bro, you got to make sure you nail that one.
We the people says McDaniels has to win at least 5 games to keep his job. Hey man, if you were the owner and the GM, I appreciate you for that answer.
No,
but the way Mark Davis is talking, he could lose the rest of his games and he's still coming back next year.
Oh gosh, bro. The fact that I got to buckle up and prepare myself to find hope this offseason, like, it's going to be hard to trust this vision, bro. That's why this next offseason with McDaniels being the head coach, hey, man, all I can say is to the 50 of you that are in here, man, just guard your heart. Guard your heart.
I'm going to be more prepared, though. I'm going to be way more prepared, though, for real, because I'm going to be watching a lot of college football.
Yeah, me
And I'm
too.
about to be watching a lot of different players.
Oh, we're gonna have some fire shows breaking down some prospects this
Mhm.
offseason. So y'all stay tuned. All 51 of y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Answer this. You mentioned the Chiefs game. Looking back, do you still go for 2 or tie it up 31-31? Now you're at zeros and the best team wins. What do you say?
I still stick with my answer. I like the aggressiveness. I like the aggressiveness of that play because the way Kansas City was moving the ball against our defense, they were getting things at will. But if you remember, even KC went for it for 2. When they scored their touchdown before we scored ours, they went for 2. They didn't get it. That's why we had a chance to tie the game if we kicked the extra point. But we decided to go for 2. I liked it because then you put Kansas City on the heels. The pass rush that game was playing well, and I think that momentum could have swung in our favor, but we still got the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, we still got the ball back, even though we went for 2 and we didn't get it. We still stopped Kansas City, and what happened was when we went for 2, KC, if you think about it, got conservative, and I don't think
the way that they called the game.
Exactly, and KC is at their best when they're aggressive. When they play conservative, when Patrick Mahomes is handing the ball off, I'm saying thank you. Whew. When he's back there and he has all day to throw, you know how Patrick Mahomes is. Like, he'll find a way, he'll buy some time and big play. You know what I mean? But I think we still had a chance to win the game. I just don't think that play call. A lot of people kind of we're talking about that. I'm not going to get on McDaniels on that one. There you can get on McDaniels on a lot of different situations, but that one I'm not really. I kind of liked it. I like that aggressiveness, and that's how you beat KC. You got to be aggressive because they're going to be aggressive. They're going to have their foot on the gas pedal when you play against them. And if you remember, our only win against KC with the last, I don't know how many years, was when Gruden of all coaches was aggressive. So in my opinion, I think that I don't think Josh McDaniels did anything wrong by going for 2. I thought you can get on when you talk about Josh McDaniels, you can get on why Josh Jacobs was missing the first couple of games. You know what I mean? Why did it take 2 games to figure out, hey, we should hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs? We could have got an extra win early on, maybe 2, especially against the Chargers. That crazy D line. It would have been nice if we would have handed the ball off to Josh Jacobs a few times. Maybe Derek Carr wouldn't have had a couple of interceptions.
So, okay, let me give you a situation here. Say we go defense in the first round, and you're talking about the guys who would potentially be left on the board in the second. I think you're moving in the category of the Anthony Richardsons of the world, quarterback for Florida. Are you okay? So, say you get a bridge quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want to say Tom Brady, but I just have I have a weird gut feeling about that situation.
I know.
I have a weird gut feeling. I'm not gonna lie. I have a real gut feeling about that. But anyways, say you plug in a gap situation type of quarterback. Would you be okay with a guy that's not going to be starting right away, maybe going out and getting an Anthony Richardson that has a ceiling of a Lamar Jackson type of player, who is an extremely elite, dynamic runner with the football in his hands that is just 2 steps above and beyond better than everybody on the field when it comes to creating the ability to run and make guys miss? Are you okay with going in a direction like that if there was commitment to build an offense?
I'm okay with that if we have a great defense and a great run game. But if you don't have
kind
that,
of
then
like the Ravens.
Yeah, if you don't have that, then it's disgusting. It's just you're gonna watch the worst type of football. A guy that the teams are gonna expose the quarterback. He can't pass. He can't read defenses. It's gonna be a project. It's gonna be rebuilding. I'd rather get a pocket passer, in my opinion. You can find a quarterback that's athletic that can move around with his legs. A lot of quarterbacks that are coming out of draft can move around with their legs and pass the ball, and got arms. So I think that.
Well, I say it because with the modern NFL, with the way that a lot of these are moving into the nickel formations, you're getting a lot of smaller boxes, a lot of linebackers that are predominantly smaller guys now compared to what the NFL was, a few years ago.
Right.
So when you get these lighter boxes, look at the ability, even a Justin Fields. You wouldn't say he's an elite thrower of the football, but now they're incorporating his athleticism. You have the Baltimore Ravens, who even when Tyler Huntley, or I think that's how you say his name, goes in the game, you know what I mean? He's obviously clearly a step down from Lamar Jackson, but he still is able to find a way to generate success in the National Football League. So it
makes you think. It makes you think, but
it makes you think, right?
I think the right situation. It has to be the right situation.
It does. No, 100%.
I mean, because would you do it? Would you do it if knowing that like you don't have a great defense, you don't have a great run game, because who is Josh Jacobs coming back next year?
I don't think the only way he comes back is if you franchise tag him. That's it. But if this is a rebuild, they're not going to sign Josh Jacobs because you're going to get that compensation pick. And if he goes and signs the market value contract in which he's listed at right now, you're talking about a 3rd round draft pick that you'll get for Josh Jacobs.
I don't think Josh McDaniels, because he's probably going to come back, I don't think he drafts a Anthony Richardson type quarterback, to be honest with you. Just based off hearing him talk, based off his history with quarterbacks, like he likes pocket passers. That's what he wants.
Which was kind of weird though, with like the Cam Newton signing. You know, you get a Jacoby Brissett type of quarterback, which, let's be honest, Jacoby's not like, he's not an elite mover of the ball, but he definitely uses his legs. Like some of the guys sometimes, like their decisions, like they'll say one thing, but they completely do the opposite. So
yeah.
And how much is that? Like Josh McDaniels wants to lose games. Hey, Derek Carr, I don't want you to use your legs because you are best when you get outside the pocket, play action, and utilize your legs. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, Derek Carr is a pocket passer though. That's a big part of his game. I mean, like his tendencies to stay in the pocket and throw it out of there. Like one of the things that a lot of Raider fans get mad at is when he doesn't leave the pocket. He doesn't run to get yards. You know what I mean?
His footwork has regressed with Josh McDaniels, though.
Yeah, for sure.
He's extremely flat-footed in the pocket. He almost stands still like a hitting target. Like Gruden always emphasized getting him to move around in the pocket.
If your name is not Devontae Adams or Josh Jacobs, you have regressed on offense, damn near. Even you can Colton Miller regressed, to be honest with you. I think
he's not in that zone heavy scheme anymore. He's a finesse type of blocker. You know what I mean? And you
power rushers are his like weakness.
Yep, he does excellent against speed rushers. Yeah. But it's the power guys that can just bull rush right through him. He struggles so bad.
Like a Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack
is kryptonite.
It's basically. But Khalil Mack is Khalil Mack, but there are other power rushers in the league, and they give him problems too.
And they give him big time problems.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the Saints, he had problems against the Saints too as well, and I think they had some power players like. Well, what's up?
Oh man, City. We should just line up Carr at running back to start this Sunday versus the Donkeys and let natural selection take its course.
That's messed up.
Come on, bro! Don't feed it to the dogs like that.
That's cold.
Hooker's destined for Vegas.
Hey,
Stidham, I'm telling y'all, just watch.
Hooker is definitely destined for Vegas.
Bro, if it was a tank and they were like for real, like openly came out and was like, let's tank, do you want to see Jared Stidham play football?
No.
I don't either.
No. Jared Stidham. No, not at all. I want this offense, to be honest with you, like this is just me. I want the Raiders to figure out a way to win some games. Even though if they're out of it, I want them to figure out to win some games. I want to see some improvement on offense and defense. That's like best case scenario for me, but I don't want to tank. I don't want to see losing football. Like I don't care like what everybody got to say about like, oh, well, let's get the top 5 pick. If we get the top 5 pick, it got to be because we don't have any talent on this team, but we have talent on this team. So it doesn't make sense. Like, what are you trying to send? Like, oh, we can lose with. I just don't.
Yeah, I tell you what, that top 5 pick looks really, really good. If there's a prospect that emerges, well, that's not one. One would be if the Raiders double down and really commit to building a legit defense. And then you're looking at a situation to maybe go get a bridge guy or a bridge quarterback and maybe get the guy of the future. Or you're talking about going out and getting a Carter from Georgia, just an interior defensive nightmare. Like, dude, there's a top 5 pick. There could be a lot of situations where it doesn't look that bad.
No. And I understand that, but like, it's just, I don't know.
I know. I get what you're saying.
idea of tanking and being like,
yeah,
it's just
the
my
fold.
God. Like I'm not looking forward to that at all.
I know, bro.
But
Did we get the Chargers first round pick for this year or for the future too? We didn't get Chargers first round pick at all. I think what you're alluding to is maybe you read the article of Jerry Tillery being the Chargers' former first round draft pick. That's the only thing dealing with the Chargers that the Raiders are involved with is a former first round draft pick.
The Raiders, I mean, if the Chargers gave us a first round pick, man, I'll take that
to the bank
every day.
Mm-hmm.
All day, every day.
Call me crazy, but I thought the Wildcat, Mariota, and Carr, we would work out. Mariota could fly. You know what I mean? That's get a pocket passer. Maybe I would like the Anthony Richardson just in case if you sprinkled it into the offense, you know what I mean? And just added a dynamic that it's really hard to prepare for, but I don't want him to be the immediate starter at all.
Hey, and let's get. I know we're getting short on time, but like, let's talk about this Denver game real quick. Like, do you think this? I think this is going to be an ugly game. This is going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly game.
I think Denver needs this win more than the Raiders do because the ownership has came out and obviously said that they support Josh McDaniels. He's going to be here next year. I think Nathaniel Hackett is playing for his job. And so I think you might see a more desperate Denver team. If the Raiders go out here and lose, like we've said it the last 2 or 3 weeks, if the Raiders lose, like it's kind of inevitable, like the writing's on the wall for what they're deciding to do. But if you go out and lose against a Denver Broncos team that's averaging 14 points a game, bro.
I'm just saying that when we played Denver, Russell was looking like Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Let's ride. I know everybody likes to get on Russell Wilson, but against us, he was making some plays against us and against his defense.
Right.
And on top of that, the Denver Broncos defense ain't too shabby. Like I said, I kind of started off the show by saying that they're statistically the best defense in the league.
They did lose Bradley Chubb in a trade to Miami.
They did.
That's big when it comes to edge rushing. They're losing a right tackle to IR this game.
Let me actually get into that too as well. I think I pulled up an article here that talked about I think let's see here.
The Raiders are plus 2.5 against the Broncos. Oh my gosh, bro.
We don't have to face Javonte Williams. I remember last game that we played the Broncos. Javonte Williams was a guy that, was he the guy that fumbled? No, that was Melvin Gordon. But
is Jerry Jeudy in?
Jerry Jeudy. Okay, Garrett Bowles is on IR. Is that the guy that you were talking about? No, they lost Billy Turner.
Billy Turner's the one I was talking about.
So Garrett Bowles went on IR with a leg injury, and then his replacement Cam Fleming is currently out with a quad injury. Yep. At right tackle, they lost Billy Turner to a knee injury on Sunday.
Yep.
And then backup center Graham Glasgow, who was filling in for injured Lloyd Cushenberry, suffered. So this might be a game where the Raiders D-line could.
Chandler Jones goes out and pads that stack sheet, gets 5 sacks this game.
Maybe he gets 5 sacks and never gets another sack the rest of the season.
And then everybody will hang on to this one game and just
for real. But something's going on with Chandler Jones, man. It's too big of a drop off. I mean, I guess we can see last year here where he got 5 sacks in one game, and then it was just after that it was downhill. Let me see on defense. So Justin Simmons is still out on defense. Let's see. Randy Gregory's out as well.
Yeah, see, bro, they're missing a lot of pieces.
They're missing some pieces. So yeah. This could be a game for the Raiders, but they should have won against the Colts. They should have beat the Jaguars, and I don't care. They should have won against the Saints as well. But it is what it is. You are what your record says it is. So at the end of the day,
Philip Mitchell says, anyone hear anything about Carr? Silver and Black just posted a new video coming out saying Carr's gone. I don't know. I mean, we can't trade him or anything. The trade deadline's gone. The Raiders aren't going to release him, so maybe they're speaking on the fact that maybe he's gone next season. I think that's what it is.
No, there was like some rumors or a report coming out saying that either if Josh McDaniels is here next year, Carr is gone. It's either Carr or McDaniels.
I think we see that though.
but we kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
we see that.
you could tell like Josh McDaniels was asked by a reporter about what Carr said, and he's like, I don't know what he's talking about. You're gonna have to talk to him about it. And then you hear Mark Davis kind of talk about how we lost a lot of close games. So he's favoring the coaching staff over the players. So basically, the players are expendable, including Derek Carr.
Well, I appreciate all 50 of you guys tuning in, man. We're approaching that 2-hour mark. We wanted to kind of get into the Denver Broncos as we wrap up. We will be picking up this conversation on Saturday, where we're going to just have an open dialogue with the nation. So all 50 of you guys, make sure you go over to Pharaoh NFL and subscribe to his channel. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drop his name right here so you guys know where to find him. So on the bottom ticker, it says Pharaoh NFL. Make sure you subscribe to Raider Ray and Pharaoh NFL. You can follow us on IG. I am _ Raider Ray. _ and Pharaoh NFL is just how you see it on screen. It's Pharaoh NFL. Go over to our social medias, follow us, show some love and support. We appreciate everybody that decided to pull up on Tuesday night. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was a great conversation with you guys, great conversation with Pharaoh. Pharaoh, do you got anything to wrap up the show?
Nah, man, I know we spent like most of the show just trashing the Raiders and the ownership and the coaching staff, but at the end of the day, we're also fans of the team too. We want the Raiders to win. But you know, hopefully there's 8 games left. At the end of it, there's 8 games. A lot can happen. So hopefully they can figure it out against a team that we just went over their injuries, how they're kind of struggling with injuries. They're averaging 14 points a game on offense. Like that's terrible. Like that's old school football. Like you don't hear a points per game like that in today's NFL. But at the end of the day, man, like, hey, hopefully the Raiders can win. And I know, I know my co-host over here, Raider Ray. He's probably gonna end the show with just tank baby, but I don't believe in tanking, man. I don't believe in it. But you know, if it happens, it happens. We get a top 5 pick. Hey, it's only gonna benefit us at the end of the day. But man, I just want the Raiders to win at the end of the day.
Facts, man. And hey, look, guys, I appreciate it for guys coming out. We're looking to get a win on Sunday. Like I said, pick up with us on Saturday. We're going to carry on conversation. I want to see all of you guys back. Tonight was a phenomenal night, phenomenal show. So we thank you guys. We appreciate it. And as always, just tank, baby.